one of the things that can be frustrating when you work at a major academic institution is the things that come along with being in a big place, which means less personalized service for your patients. So I don't have control over things like schedules, or when the patient calls the clinic, the fact that they often get sent to some giant scheduling room at Northwestern and it takes them forever to get a hold of me. And I hear this from my patients, but I've experienced it myself. I'm a patient as well at my institution, and you try to call to get a hold of somebody and it's like, 6 degrees of separation before you can actually get there, versus, your small local, family medicine practice that's owned, by a physician or, a group who can control those kind of administrative things that, I'm an employee of a large hospital system and I don't have control. Doesn't mean I don't have a voice and I can't voice concerns. I don't have control over changing things, in a quick manner. So that's, I think, probably becomes very frustrating. I'm sure you've heard this too. It's not as much specific to my specific specialty, but in the profession of medicine, the healthcare system is frustrating. It's frustrating to practice in when I can't deliver care to everyone in the same way, and not everybody is eligible necessarily for the same services, and dealing with insurance companies and pre-certifications are people who are underinsured or uninsured, who I can't get access to things that I would like them to be able to have access to, is very frustrating sometimes. And I think especially about my field that really brings this to light even more is in liver transplantation, which we work very hard and have an incredible team of social workers and other people who work to get people coverage for services for transplant. But there are people who don't have insurance coverage for transplant or who don't qualify. The worst is the donut hole of people who who make too much money to qualify for things like Medicaid, or Medicare. They don't qualify for Medicare and they have insurance, but their insurance doesn't cover transplant. And so it's rare, but we do encounter it. And that's very frustrating. Or they'll cover the transplant surgery, but they won't cover the drugs, and the patient can't get a transplant if they can't afford the drugs. So those things are really frustrating. Or the patient you want to give a transplant to, but in order to get a transplant, you have to have social support. You have to have family and friends who are going to be able to help you physically and emotionally through the transplant process. And so we cannot transplant people who don't have that support system. And that can be a rate limiting step to being able to offer somebody a transplant. And so I'll stop talking 1 second, but the other thing as I'm thinking about it that's frustrating about my field is that I don't have unlimited organs to offer everybody. I don't have a solution for that, a big solution. We have things that we're doing to try to address the organ shortage. So my public service announcement is everybody, please, please, please be an organ donor. But that's frustrating about my profession is I have a life-saving treatment that I can offer, but I can't offer it to everybody because it's a limited resource. And so that's hard when you have to say no to giving somebody a transplant, because it means you're going to have to say, if you say yes to them, you're going to have to say no to somebody else. And their age might be too old, or, there's another reason why we can't do the transplant in them. And so they're not offered a transplant.